brand recognition. You know, you can't get in front of your customer or potential customer enough. And you can do it for free as much as you want. So, you know, we encourage all of our employees, all of my friends, share our content, do whatever you can, like our stuff. You know, I started posting and I took notice to our, you know, analytics and the reach that we were getting, and I'm like, man, this shit does work. Let's do it more.
Welcome to the Lion's Den, hosted by Lance Bachman.
Hey everybody, welcome to this edition of the Lion's Den. I got Sterling Limousines founder, owner, president Johnny Donohoe today with us, and we're going to be talking about how he grew his business to over 54 different vehicles on the road, how COVID hit him hard, how he stuck with marketing, how he had to change his banking system, cash flow, and really bunker down. And now he's back up and growing. Johnny, thank you so much for being on the Den today, sharing your story.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me. Yeah, we're excited to be here. I'm excited to tell the story and get this thing off and rolling.
Tell everybody who you are, Johnny, and what Sterling Limo does. Sterling Transportation, I should say, actually.
Limousine and Transportation Services. Most people think that we're just a limousine service. We are way more than that. Between employee shuttles, airport transportation, taking your kids to school, going out night on the town for your anniversary, setting up your transportation in Orlando, Chicago, whatever it is that you need, we can accommodate that. We've been in business since 2002, grown from a 3-vehicle operation with a couple of drivers to up to 50 some units pre-COVID with 75 or so chauffeurs and about 30 or so full-time office staff.
So March 17th happens last year. You literally just built a new building right before that. I think you moved in probably a year, 9 months, 6 months prior. I mean, it wasn't long. I mean, I remember the ribbon cutting. You were excited. You built this big building.
May of 2019.
Okay, so you're not even there for a full year.
Not even close.
March 17th hits you. What are you thinking on that day first? I mean, you got 4 kids, brother. You're like me.
I was scared to death. It was extremely difficult time, both personally as well as through the business, because with our employees, I don't look at them as employees. I look at them as family members, and it comes off sometimes as cliche, but we have a very significant role in everybody's lives, and it's family first with us. And it was basically one day we went and I had to lay off 24 of the 28 full-time office staff, and it was a dark day.
Now you're going through that, or is the banks pummeling you for the building? Are they pummeling you for your car payments? What are other vendors doing? I mean,
So initially, when it all started, nobody knew what was going on. Everybody knew everybody was shutting everything down, and nobody was operating, and everybody just had to cease working. There wasn't remote working in place at that point for most people. We were considered an essential business, so we were open, but our business was down by 90%. Literally overnight. So we were in constant communication with our banks. We reached out right away to the banks, and I will say, right off the get-go, they were receptive to everything with deferred payments, modified terms, the whole 9 yards. They've been extremely helpful between that and our insurance companies. Everybody's been creative and helped us work through this entire thing. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened.
So now we're over a year out. Are they still being cool with you, or the banks? I'm hearing the banks and some of the companies are now starting to say, hey, listen, I don't care what because there's other states that are open, other businesses are booming, and I mean, so what are they saying? Because I know I'm hearing from different clients, depending on what state they're in, my banks are now pretty much coming for me, and other people are like, well, we're wide open. So if you're looking from a bank perspective or an insurance perspective, they don't want to be involved in politics. They just want their money at this point.
Hey, they're a business too, and you can't fault them for wanting that. Yes, some of them are tightening their belts now and saying, look, it's time. We gotta shit or get off the pot. There's no other way to put it. Others are working with us. We deal with most of our banks are local or regional banks, so they're way more receptive than your big monsters of your Wells Fargo's and Bank of America's, which boils down to having those direct relationships. And most of them are still working with us to a degree, whether it's interest only for another 6 months or deferred payments have kind of stopped. We've been able to keep up with those. But
let's jump into that. The banks are working with you. Your employees, are you finding it harder right now to get employees to come back, or are you having to pay more because everyone's getting free money? I mean, it's just raining money out there. So many business. I actually said to someone the other day, if a business owner says to you that they're not paying more or they're not struggling to get employees, they're full of shit because it's raining money out there right now, and it's going. I don't know what percentage it is. It's just going to the wrong people. Can you talk about that?
We're definitely having that issue. We're having the issue with people just enjoying sitting at home and taking that paycheck and then some. We're also struggling with the fact of, a lot of our chauffeurs are a little bit of the older demographic, so they're susceptible to the conditions of COVID. So therefore, they're a little bit apprehensive to get behind the wheel. So we're now out there trying to recruit new chauffeurs and train them, and people are just not responding to ads. They're not following up on their interviews. They're saying they're interested, but when you follow up with them, they're I'm sorry, but I'm good collecting my unemployment. It just got renewed till Labor Day weekend, so I'll see you. I'll call you in September. That's a huge problem. We're trying to incentivize it with signing bonuses, but it's a difficult thing. As we trend upwards, that's my biggest concern. Is not so much getting the business back, because we stayed in communication with our customers. They've promised us that they will be operating again at some point when they're no longer remote. But it's the concern I have of, when we do flip this switch, hopefully, and we go from, 40 rides to 100 rides, I'm going to struggle to have enough bodies to put in my vehicles.
Well, the nice part for you, I can tell you this is, I promise you, the government isn't going to keep raining money to everybody. That ain't going to happen, right? No matter what side you're on, no matter whose vote you're getting, it's going to come to an end. And I truly believe we'll be playing Hunger Games, and I think it's going to be a whole different scenario, because these people are going to find out their worth is their worth, and you haven't worked. And now it's going to become the employer's market again instead of the employees. Because right now, what people don't realize is, had this conversation, like how you said, the banks are auditing you every month. We aren't the government. We can't sit there and grandstand and say, we're going to just write endless checks. We got to pay it back.
Yeah.
Or they come collect, and they probably would put us in jail if we did what the government did. Let's be realistic.
No question about that.
They put us in jail. So, but that's a whole different conversation. But what are you going to do? What's your plan to overcome that over the next 6 months to a year to stop raining money?
We're trying to stay in communication with our people and trying to educate them on the long game, which I've been doing since probably the middle of last year, which is, at some point this is going to come to an end. And do you want to be in that big hodgepodge of people that are trying to find jobs all at the same time? Or do you want to cut that government aid off now, come back to work, start earning, and now you don't have to deal with that? You're now back at the ground level. Because the way I look at it is, my business has almost started over as a new business that just started at the ground level, with a few employees. So you got the opportunity to get in at the ground level of a business that is going to be successful. We're tried and true. Do that. I mean, that's what we're trying to push. Some people are taking it. Others are, still a little bit apprehensive. But time will tell on that.
You do a lot of airport transportations, night out. Not everything is the big limo bus.
Correct.
The big, and I know, obviously, I represent other transportation companies. I know Uber came in, they were a disruptor, and people don't realize what a big difference a service like yours is versus one of those. I'm not here to disparage those in any way, but can you kind of talk about what your vision is that separates you from your competition?
So with regard to some of the differences, you got a million differences between Uber here and us here. With safety is first and foremost. Drivers are background checked, fingerprinted with the federal criminal background check. We do a 4-day full throttle training, on the road training. We do defensive driving training. They're certified. We drug tested, the whole 9 yards. Whereas I can pick up my phone and be an Uber driver in 10 minutes and you have no idea who's picking me up, but guess what? You're sending your parents, you're sending your kid.
I got to tell you a funny story about I used Uber one time to set up an airport thing. I was trying to get to the airport, and they canceled 10 minutes before they were supposed to be there. I was literally late to the airport, almost missed my
your flight, yeah.
And it was so stressful, and I swore I would never use it. People don't understand and think about those type of things. Plus, I don't think people think about their kids in the car with an Uber person.
You don't think about that until it's too late.
Do you still answer your phone and cell phone if someone calls for a complaint?
110%.
Without a doubt.
Every single time.
All right. So, I mean, that's really the litmus test, right?
Sure.
Now, that's what separates you. Also, you're a member of the community. You have 4 kids like me. I have 4 children. We talk a lot about family, how family is important, but community is important to you also. Can you explain to me why community is so important? You grew up here. Your father coached football at Northampton, big name up there. Can you kind of explain why the community is so important to you, Johnny?
You know what?
And business, why?
Yeah, of course. Growing up with my dad as a we'll say a prominent name in the community, involved with the Northampton football. You're always able to see somebody that you know, and you feel comfortable and safe in your surroundings no matter where you go. It's important that you give as much as you possibly can back to the community because you want others to experience the same feeling. My dad was a coach. I coached over at Council Rock South for 15 years, coached football. That's volunteer. That was 40, 50 hours a week, in addition to running a full-time business. So it's at my core. Family is at my core. It's paramount and priority number one every single time.
Well, I'm going to coach up at Northampton this year. My son LJ wants to play football. Can I bank on you to come help me coach? You're on camera.
I will give you as much help as I absolutely can.
This is a business show, so let's talk about this. You're a big guy, you're nice, you're a big teddy bear. You're intimidating if you just were walking down the street, but you're a big teddy bear. Going through business and being a leader in your organization, what's the biggest thing you've learned? Because you're pretty much self-taught.
So you have to treat people with respect. You got to treat people how you would want to be treated. It gets you a lot further in life. It gets you a lot further in business, regardless of the situation and what's going on. When you fly off the handle and you're a red ass type of person and you're a hoot and holler, which is what I was, it doesn't get you very far. People don't want to work for you. People don't want to go that extra mile, put that extra time in, do the couple extra things needed to finish this job or get this contract. That's, in my opinion, that's really what it's all about. It's been one of the biggest things that I've learned over my 20 years in running this operation.
I guess on the flip side of that, what's the worst decision you've ever made in business?
So, the way I managed my managing skills initially in my younger days when I was 20, I was not very professional, and I tried to rule with an iron fist, and I learned quickly that you can't do that. I say quickly; it probably took me a few years to evolve and change my tactics, but when you get back to making sure you take care of people. You follow up, you listen to them. Don't talk at them. Have a conversation, let them give you their piece, and have a dialogue about it instead of just being a dictator. It changes things. It changes things a lot, and you could see quickly in our organization the culture changed and people started to be way more adaptive and understanding instead of just kind of hiding in their office or not wanting to have conversations with me because I was an ass.
What was that defining moment for you when you said, okay, we got this, we're going to be okay, I'm going to make a run at this and we're going to really make it this time?
So as far as a defining moment, I would say probably our best team, largest move we ever did was the Democratic National Convention. We did as much business in a 1-week time period that we had done in any given month. And I remember turning to my general manager saying, man, if we can get through this week, we can get through anything. I think we rented something like 40 or 50 cars from Enterprise, and we didn't have enough bodies to drive, and you're dealing with all of these state reps. It was hectic. At the end of the day, we looked at each other and said, holy shit, we did this with very few incidents or service failures. And it was at that point I was like, damn, we can pretty much handle whatever we can get our hands on. And at that point, I was way more comfortable and confident in going after some of the bigger stuff. You know, I'm not one that likes to chew off more than I can take care of, but it was at that point I'm like, screw this, we're going to go after everything. We're going after every biggest contract we can get our hands on, and that's when we started to see continued, wouldn't say exponential, but double-digit growth year in, year out.
You know, let's talk about that, because I've known you for 10 years now. Obviously, I used your service multiple times. I love it, right?
Love you as a customer.
You're still involved, though. I'll text you, and you're not even a salesperson. I'll text you, and you respond right back no matter what time it is. And I've been in some bad situations we can laugh at together if you want. And you've gotten cars there. You respond right away.
Sure.
Can you talk about why it's so important that you have to be involved still as an owner? Or do you just choose to be?
I would say both. I definitely choose to be, but it's one of these that in I believe the service and hospitality business, you have to have your finger on the pulse of everything, and that's my way of doing it is just being involved. My people know I'm always available to them. I'm not in the office 7 days a week, but I'm in the office, whether it's my house, on my cell phone, wherever it is, I'm accessible, which I think is huge for any business to be successful. Is you need to be able to speak to your people when they need to speak to you. And the difference between my business and most businesses is we are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365, i.e. a hotel. So there is no on and off. You don't get to take, okay, we're going to switch it off here because business is closed. Well, we get calls, people flying into California, 3-hour difference. We got people that we take care of. They fly into Singapore. Well, it's a major time difference, and they're calling at 2 o'clock in the morning. Bet your ass they expect to have somebody. So I'm not necessarily taking that 2 o'clock call, but if there's an issue with that 2 o'clock call, they know they can always get a hold of me, my staff, and that goes a long way, knowing that you're in the game with them, so to speak.
Here's a shout out for you, which I don't like doing often on these shows, but I got to give you this. So everyone that watched this saw I put, BJ or Casey put gas into my diesel line, and they broke us down in the middle of nowhere. I don't even know where the town was, I forget, but in the middle of nowhere. We literally tried Uber, 4 different limo companies, Enterprise, Avis, everywhere. Couldn't get out of this town. We're in like a town that's 1 mile by 1 mile. You would have thought people were riding their horses with guns on the side of them. It was crazy. I'm telling you. I called you, what time, 7 in the morning?
Yeah, I think it was about 7 o'clock, yeah.
And I was like, yo, man, this is crazy. You got to get me out of here. And you sent a car from over an hour away to come get me.
Yeah.
Immediately. And the guy drove us all the way back. Super nice guy. He was a great guy. But that's why relationships are so important in business. Can you talk about that? I can't imagine you're doing that for every single person. I mean, you're not going out of your way to that extent. I mean,
between the speed of the response time on that and how it was handled, no, not every customer has my cell phone and is going to call me at 7 o'clock in the morning. They're going to call the office, and the office is going to figure it out. The relationship aspect of this is it just so happened that I have a very close relationship with that company that we use down in that area, and they're willing to jump and say, yeah, absolutely. They rerouted somebody that was on another job, sent them up to you, took care of the other job that they took that driver off of. Without that relationship, that wouldn't have happened. I would have been eating crow and saying, well, it's probably going to be 3 hours because I don't even know where the hell you are. But because of that relationship that I had and his willingness to jump, because it was me, and he knows I'm not calling to ask for a favor every 2 days. When you're calling to ask for a favor, he knows it's something that I need. And yeah, he jumped and boom, we were there. I think it was under 2 hours we had you.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were planning on staying another 2. It was during the major storms down there. I mean, it was insanity. Yeah. So let's talk about this, about you're a young guy, digital marketing. Let's jump into it. How is digital marketing? We're going to talk about digital marketing, SEO and PPC is one, social media is another, because you're more affluent than most people, right? Mm-hmm. How's digital marketing as a whole impacted your organization?
In the early days, we were all of the get on the paid sites, get the paid referrals. I didn't know a whole lot about it. I like to learn stuff and self-teach myself a lot of things. So I kind of dug into it, started learning a little bit more about the SEO aspect. And it's a totally different animal. You got to be on this thing all the time and make sure you're going with the punches and updating this and updating that. So it was too much for me. So I said, screw it, we'll bite the bullet. I remember I got the referral, I think, from a mutual friend of ours that connected me to you. And then once we kind of got rolling, man, it was night and day. We get just a boatload of direct leads right from our forums and contact us pages. I'm going to say to the tune of several dozen a day. Whether it's wedding quotes, nights out, just transportation in general. The digital marketing aspect has been huge. It's an invaluable portion of our business.
So let's talk about the social media part, because I've seen over the years you weren't a big social media guy in the very beginning, but now you post yourself, you're involved, you don't even go live, like you're not afraid of it anymore. Can you talk us through that process and what you've seen and why? Because a lot of people don't buy into social media for small businesses and local businesses, which I scream to everyone, just do it, you'll get more comfortable. Can you talk about the process?
You know what, for us, it's brand recognition. You can't get in front of your customer or potential customer enough. And you can do it for free as much as you want. So, we encourage all of our employees, all of my friends, share our content, do whatever you can, like our stuff. I started posting and I took notice to our analytics and the reach that we were getting, and I'm like, man, this shit does work. Let's do it more. So we right now I have all of our drivers, whenever they're out and they're at a cool setting, I say, yo, take a cool picture, we're gonna post it, and then we go and do an internal, sometimes a competition where whoever gets the most reach or likes or whatever, we'll give them a $10 gift card, to encourage them to take more pictures, because pictures for us is content. There's not so much, I can't write just endless supply of content about limo service. There's
no doubt.
So, but people want to see, and that's a cool picture when you have the Sixers backdrop with some of our SUVs propped up behind it, or a wedding out in the countryside, or a wedding down in the city. So that stuff is awesome, and we post as much as we can, tag as many people, and we get tremendous feedback on our social media just by both the reach, and as well as people commenting to me personally, directly and indirectly. Hey, I see your stuff online. It's great. Facebook, I follow you guys' stuff. It's great to see your employees. I do as much as I can to highlight and spotlight our people, because without all my employees and all my my team members, I don't got anything.
Let's talk about that. You're using social media, even if it just brings back your existing clients to use you again as a reminder. Why would a small business owner not do it?
We did something in December because we were dead in the water. We had nothing going on with COVID shutting everything down, and we started running some holiday light tours through Shady Brook. We have that right in our backyard, and I had several customers contact us and say, hey, you know what? I saw your post. That's a great idea. I'm going to take my kids. Can I set up a car? And that happened, I think, 3 or 4 times, and then they took the content, shared it with some other people. And then I got direct bookings from people they referred it to. So, and that cost me literally $0.
Goose, took you 30 seconds just
$0, 30 seconds, bang, bang. And I will say the only thing you need to do is you need to respond. And you can't just post it, set it, and forget it. People are going to comment. Guess what?
Respond.
People are going to like your stuff. If they don't like your page, invite them to like your page. You have to be involved in at least a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, it's free, and it's very, very simple.
Here's a question for you, a direct question. I think you'll answer it honestly. If you spend X a month with one SEO, what would you say you get back in return? Times what?
For us, I would say maybe 5, if not 10 times.
Easily. And when you see new people coming in on your forums or calls, is it more people finding you through our digital marketing, or there's paid sites that you do?
Without question, it's the one SEO digital marketing we do, because we're on very few paid marketing plans anymore, or not marketing plans, I'm sorry.
Sites.
Paid sites. And I know exactly which ones they're coming from, and everything else is coming from my webpage, and the only way they're getting to my webpage is through my digital marketing, which is done by you guys.
Here's a question for you. A lot entrepreneurs are out there, because you didn't go to college. I love the story of, and listen, I'm not saying don't go to college. Don't think I'm not saying that, but I mean, I'm not the typical college grad. I cheated through college. Everyone knows. I have no problem saying that. People are like, oh, you shouldn't be saying that publicly. I'm like, it is what it is. I mean, like I was in sped ed K through 12. Like I was at my high school class, the least likely to ever see a college classroom, so I'm good.
Funny how that works.
It is. So what I will say is this. What would you say to another guy out there or girl that didn't go to college, that wants to be an entrepreneur, that wants to own their own business, and are thinking about going into the transportation business? What would you say to that person?
You got to have the drive. You got to have some thick skin, and you got to be willing to fail. We failed quite a bit, and the hours. You got to put the time in the beginning. It's funny. I was talking, years ago. People were saying, "Well, how are you guys doing so good?" I want to do this. It's like, listen, it's not all it's cracked up to be. You don't realize, at 11 o'clock at night, I'm at home answering the phones. This is before we got to the point where we were. We needed. At some point, I realized, Jesus, I can't allow people to go to an answering machine or go to an answering service. They need somebody that knows what the hell they're talking about. So until you find somebody that's going to be willing to take those hours, that graveyard shift, make enough money, train them, somebody's got to do it. So you got to do it. So even though you're working your normal 9 to 5, which doesn't exist for me, but I get home, I feed the kids, hang out with the wife for a little while, and then guess what? I'm on the phones again for another 4 or 5 hours. That's not fun. But it's a necessity to get to where you're going. You got to look down the line. You got to play that. You got to play that long game. There is no get rich quick scheme out there.
Let's talk about that, because this is the final roar. I'm going to switch it up for you. I'm going to switch it up for you, something different. You didn't go to college. You're an entrepreneur. You said you can't be afraid to fail. On the final roar, I see so many people, because of Facebook and social media, all these trolls out there. Like when I had to shut down M's, which people don't realize is coming back, but I got trolled on this Fishtown, and I'm saying the guy's like, it was financial, bad business plan. I'm like, I started laughing. I'm like, you and I both know that's not it. But that's a whole different conversation. What on the final roar? Why is it so important as an entrepreneur you can't be afraid to fail?
It's the only way you're going to learn from your mistakes. If I look at it a lot like what's going on right now with everybody now is in the stock market. Everybody is making boatloads of cash no matter what they put their money into. They got in it when COVID hit, when the market was just going up and up and up and up. They don't know what it's like to fail. Well, they're in for a rude awakening, because it will come down, and it's going to come down hard, and they're going to have no idea what to do, because all they know is how to win. Okay, so you have to lose in order to learn how to play that long game. Nothing lasts forever. So just because you're winning today doesn't mean you're going to be lasting tomorrow. You got to be able to know how to pick up the pieces, fix it, and retool it. The hot buzzword forever was pivot. Way overused, but you need to know how to change your ways a little bit. We got way more back into the retail work when corporate completely shut down. That was one of the things that we kind of moved away from. We retooled our fleet a little bit, and failing is all part of the end success game.
I always say this to people, when I hear someone say someone has the golden touch or the Midas touch, and they don't fail at anything, I start laughing. I'm like, that guy's the biggest bullshit artist in the world. Because true businessmen fail, you learn, you fail. I use the word learn. I learn constantly, because if you're willing to learn, you're going to get better and better. The same way you learn how to deal with banks. You never had to deal with banks like you had over this last year. I mean, all this stuff you learn. And that's why I went that for the final roar, because I think people think what you do, because of social media and what all these entrepreneurs do, is easy. Get rich, get quick. And you're right. I mean, I'm not in the stock market. I have someone who handles my money, but I don't do, like everyone says, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. I bought Bitcoin 5 years ago or 6 years ago. My partner, Scott, you'll laugh at this. And we put money in, and we sat on it for the last 3-4 years, where we lost 80% of our money. It had that big of a drop. And I just didn't sell it because it was so low. And now it's back up and over, but that's the long game. I just sat there and held on.
Most people would forget it.
Well, most people would have panicked and sold
it. Yeah.
So, Johnny, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate you being so honest, brother.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to follow me at Lance Bachman on Instagram and Twitter. Follow me on Facebook at Lance Bachman Digital. And every Thursday we drop a new podcast. Don't forget to listen to it. We're giving out great content. And remember this is the time to build your business right now. Let's effing go, everybody.